Hello everyone, welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to today's reading. So yesterday we did the thank you video and it was kind of a broad look at what's happening in the relationship from just kind of we had done the divine masculine messages the day before, and yesterday we looked at the big picture. So today I asked you guys, as we were kind of wrapping up the extended there, and that extended was on YouTube, it was attached to the other video. I asked what you guys wanted to talk about, and boy did you deliver. So the gist of it is, what does this person feel like is happening? What do they feel like is going on? What is their take on it? How are they feeling about this situation in particular? Not just what are their emotions overall in general and about the third party and everything, but what is happening in this situation in particular. So that's kind of what we're going to look at. What is this to them? What is happening there? So that's what we'll do. It will be a general reading as always for this collective. So if it resonates with you, you may want to take a look at some of the other videos. You may also want to like and subscribe. If you are someone that this has helped, then you might want to think about liking the videos when you watch them, because it helps other people come in contact with the message who might have some similar interests to you. So just putting that out there if you're looking for a way to pass it on. We're going to start out by looking at the energy of just kind of what wants to come out from the emotional and energetic backdrop. Yesterday had a little bit of an intense emotional and energetic backdrop that didn't coming out looking great, but ended up being a little bit more. It looked up as we were getting on with it. So we've got the Two of Wands here in the reverse, King of Swords in the upright. This is a day where you're able to, and they're able to, think about things a little bit more clearly. Overall situation. With the Ten of Swords in the reverse, things aren't hurting as badly. This is part of why there's that greater ability to think through things. So this is kind of, maybe it's a good day to be looking at this, because it feels like a new day to them, a breath of fresh air. With the Two of Wands, I will say that there is still a need for traveling that emotional, and it's like an emotional distance that needs to be traveled, but it's that same thing that we've been watching over time, where they're working on some values and restructuring some values that they were raised with that maybe no longer resonate with the place where they're going, and it causes them to want to live their lives a little bit differently. Maybe it's something that they don't quite agree with that causes them to shift something in their lives. My favorite example of that being, I feel like there's more in here that came out. My favorite example in there is being like an age gap. Where they realize that maybe they were raised to think an age gap is a significant problem, where they're not convinced anymore that it is. So we have the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles is that feeling of still having some limitations, and the Three of Pentacles here that's come out with it feels like some idea, like even a recent idea of maybe where some of those limitations are. We only wanted those top couple cards. I never know how many are going to come out. There's something bugging them here. So with the Earth in reverse, this is like the World. In this deck, it's the equivalent of the World. This is something that isn't completed, it's bugging them. Like there's something that is bugging them, and they are, I feel like, very aware of it with that King of Swords. They're aware of it, but oh, hold on. Pretty sure I just saw one turned over here. Yep, and we want it. Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so this is a matter of, they have some idea kind of what they're doing. Now they have to, or of what they have left undone, something that feels like it's left undone. And so now there's a matter of, have I prepared for this, with a following realization that yes, they have done some preparation for this. So they're feeling some of that healing from the lessons that they've been working to learn and maybe haven't completely learned, Feeling good about it though. This is not a bad feeling. This is it feels like it might be the only thing that I don't know that I love about it is it feels like it might have that element of yeah, sweeping things under the rug a little bit. And I say that because the lessons are hurting too much right now. So sometimes when we see the Three of Swords come out, just yesterday at one point we saw the Three of at least one point. I remember it happening once. The Three of Swords came out in the reverse, and it felt like these are lessons but without the pain, so they were able to see it was your person again, and it was them being able to see the impact of their actions. So they were able to see lessons that they had learned, but they were also able to see kind of how it fit into the big picture, but without having to experience the pain that they felt at the time that they learned those lessons. So here that pain isn't gone yet. It's still kind of too present for them to be able to work past it. We got the Four of Cups here, so there's a sense of disappointment for them in this energy. And the Four of Pentacles, they thought they were going to be farther along. There's a disappointment in themselves. I feel like it's a disappointment in themselves very much, as opposed to a disappointment in anything else. But they're frustrated because they haven't taken the time for something. So they feel like they are prepared to move forward, but maybe not like not in practice or something. They didn't. This is the card of somebody who wants to feels like they're more in a place where they would be able to confidently reach out, but now they don't have that confidence because they mess things up by not keeping in touch. They're very attracted to this feeling of emotional self management, or they feel like you have a lot more control over your emotions and self-mastery over your emotions than you may feel like you have, and it makes them feel like they are again with that feeling of a little bit of an inferiority kind of feeling in there. That's interesting, and I don't know why it seems like it's been cropping up here over the last few days, maybe even a little bit more strongly than usual. And not to say that it usually crops up incredibly strongly, but it usually does at least show up periodically. And what this is such a feeling of just, it's almost like it's situational. Like it depends on how an interaction goes. So this is very touch and go. Yesterday we had that feeling of it being go day for something. Today feels less like go day and more like, okay, what's left? What's next? But I don't know that I want to move. It doesn't necessarily have that feeling of wanting to move toward it. It still has that Two of Wands gives me the feeling of wanting to sweep things under the rug, and so does this Three of Swords. Something still hurts too much. That's a feeling that comes out a lot here. In order to move forward, and they're starting to see it as they're thinking it through. This is someone who's looking to avoid pain right here with the Ten of Swords in the reverse. They're being able to mostly avoid pain, and they'd like to continue doing that. So things that make them feel uncomfortable or make them feel that pain, they are inclined to kind of push it away or put it off if at all possible. So let's look into now the question of the day. What is this? What does this situation look like to them? I am reminded again today of a song, and this one, I haven't seen the video, but I'll go look up a link to the song itself. And I don't know if I have shared these with you guys before, so if you've been with me for like years, you might see a song more than once. But the one that I would share with you today is Norah Jones' What Am I to You? Because I feel like that was kind of the gist of the questions that were coming out. It was, what does this relationship feel like to them? How are they feeling with regard to this relationship? What do they think this is? There was a lot of that kind of, what do they think this is? And so I feel like that's what we need to look into. It's really the tone of the questions that came through. And I will tell you guys, I'm not completely caught up on my email and my notes right now. So if you've sent me notes, I will get to read them. I do not always get to answer them, which if you send it to me, you'll get in some contexts, you will get an auto respawn that tells you that I may not get to that. Because it's a lot. It's a lot of emails that come in, and I invite a lot of emails, but I can't respond to all of them. So we've got the Temperance card, looking for balance. Four of Cups in the reverse. Oh, looking to try and accept. This is all about trying to accept the reality of the situation. There is a strong desire to try and understand what's happening, try and accept the reality of the situation in a way that works. They need to feel like they're in control of it to a certain degree, and they feel like oh, wow. They just want to own it. They want to own it, control it, feel like they can come and go as they please, but I don't mean that in as negative of a way as it probably sounds. That it feels like they just want to bask in it, but they're afraid to do so on a consistent level. And so that's where we get the feeling of them wanting to be able to come and go. We know that they have been working through some things. We know this from the Divine Masculine Messages reading a couple days ago. They've been looking to like work through a couple things, but they have a hard time, like, they have a hard time, even when they know what it is that they have to work through, making it happen. There is definitely some, like, there's a fear of moving forward in here, a fear of jumping off into something, feeling like they need to. This is someone who is very much being led by their fears and doesn't want to be, but doesn't really know any other way. Like, they were raised that way, and this is part of what it's almost like that's part of what causes them to sweep this thing under the rug a little bit. It's the same egoistic thing that makes them feel like they need to control how things look to the outside. Definitely, this is impacted by that third party. So when I was looking at this emotionally, what the question that I was asking is not how are they feeling just overall, but we see that the impact of the third party is not small. They don't feel balanced. They don't feel like they feel like they want to escape. That fool card there has the feeling of someone who wants to escape and is like trying to work very hard to control their situation until they're able to do so. In the meantime, they're accidentally growing into a place of balance. So I definitely feel like I saw something come out there. Maybe it just bounced up for a moment, but I feel like I saw something. Yeah, here it is. And it's the Jupiter card. It's the equivalent of that control, that Emperor. It's not a particularly balanced version of the Jupiter card. So it does have that, let me just kind of hold this down so I can control it sort of feel to it, where the best way to handle something sometimes is to not hold it down. But this is a person who has a tendency to want to hold things down because it just seems to them like it would be easier to control that way. They've got a strong desire to control the moving pieces and maybe not have as many of those, but they're not feeling like they have as many choices around some of this as they'd like to. We see that especially with this Corona Borealis card. So the Corona Borealis card is the equivalent of the Lover's card in this deck, and it is especially frustrated in this. It's frustrated, wants to talk, doesn't feel like it can. So you guys have seen this pattern, and you've seen it play out here. Very specifically, you've seen it play out recently in the last few weeks. So if you've been here with me for a little while, you've seen this very recently, where there is this desire driving them to come in, make things right, have a conversation with you. Moment of clarity is kind of the way that it comes across. But they feel like their hands are tied somewhere in here. They don't feel like they actually have choices around you or with you. So they end up getting very secretive, and it kind of maybe doesn't have the best impact on the conversation overall. So if you're having a conversation and they are actually getting in there, and it seems like the conversation overall is a smaller effort than what they had originally intended. So they came out of the gate with big dreams, but by the time they got to you, those dreams had kind of dwindled down into, but I don't feel like I'm quite capable of that. Maybe I'll just try something a little smaller. The reason they're feeling like they have to try something a little smaller is the Capricornicus card. So that is like the Hanged Man, and we see it here in reverse. It's a perspective not yet gained. It's a lesson not yet learned. That's really how it kind of comes across, and it results in fear, and it results in not necessarily being able to make the communication that they want to make or do it the way they want to do it. So they are feeling like they lack options or choices, but really I feel like it's them that that creates that circumstance. And yes, while I will absolutely admit that I think that that's true in most circumstances, it's really just what wants to come out here, especially with like this Page of Swords. It echoes the feelings that I was just saying. So the problem is, here they are. Oh man, Two of Swords, Two of Wands. That's it. We have they are in a place where they kind of feel like they are at a crossroads. They don't know which way to go, don't know how to make a decision, and have a fire lit under them to make a decision. But the fire is mostly internal. I mean, to some degree, it also is energy coming from you saying, get moving on this. You're making me wait for too long. In a lot of cases, that's kind of the energy of it. But what's happening here is they don't know how to move forward. They feel like they have to move forward. Their passion makes them feel like they have to move forward. But for whatever reason, they just kind of, they feel like they're standing in this crossroads, unable to move past it. This is a challenging sort of energy for them. Doesn't necessarily feel, it's not inviting. It's not hospitable. And it's an uncomfortable sort of energy, and they can't seem to get comfortable in it. That's kind of how they're feeling right now. Uncomfortable, can't get comfortable, want the wisdom, but don't want to have to go through the difficulty that causes them to have to find it, or to, and that's going to be tough, because we know in yesterday's reading, when we did the thank you reading, they had, and we've seen this, there's been kind of a tendency to, things are a little bit tougher than they look like they're going to be. They're going to have to try moving through something more times than they think. So they gather some information together and then feel like they should be able to use it, but it takes more than one try to do that. Hence the video I put up for you yesterday, the Katy Perry video. So that one's not just a listen to the song. You got to watch the video for that one to get the full effect. Five of Cups here in the reverse. So this is awareness. Again, with that sense of awareness. That has been coming through for us here for a while now, that there's an increasing amount of awareness. What I would say at this point is your person would term it an uncomfortable amount of awareness, I think, on their side, and just not being sure exactly how to handle it. They don't exactly know how to handle it, and they have a tendency to freeze or just do nothing. And they do it right in the middle of this conversation over here. So, and they feel like they're just constantly wanting to control. So the question was, how are they feeling about things? They have this desire to control. They're feeling like there's a lot of opportunity. They're feeling like they're more aware of it. They're feeling like they're pushed to make a decision, to go forward and do something different, but they don't have enough clarity on which direction to go, so they kind of freeze. And then, we see this bit over here. I feel like this is maybe even my winner over here when I start to think about where do you go with this into the extended, this third party piece. I know this wasn't really the direction that I was originally going to go, but the way that the energy is coming out around this, I feel like something is important, that they need to be able to expand on that a little bit. So we see what their emotions are and kind of how they feel. I think when we get into the extended, we're going to expand on it a little bit. Part of it is going to be, I want to I dive into a little bit more about how they're feeling about you, and then part of it is I want to dive into it a little bit more, what's happening with this third party. So when we get into that one, we'll ask both questions. For now, before we get into the extended, let's go ahead and look at what you need to know about you, your areas of focus. Let's see what I dropped. Bunch of cards, all face down. They were all just kind of spread out, but they were face down. Oh, very nice. So we have a King of Cups, focusing on your balance, your integrity. You're doing what you're saying you're going to do. Movement forward, putting one foot in front of the other. If you've got goals, making sure that you are doing something every day to move toward those goals. Well, that's a nice, neat, tidy little package of... And another one, we have some nice, neat, tidy packets of advice that come out for you here. And that usually kind of comes out a little bit red flaggy for me, because anything that's concise, as far as advice, sometimes I just wonder if there's more beneath it. But what I would say is, and we're gonna expand on it with this deck here, but this is very much, this is a nice, clean, honest sort of feeling that comes through this. And I don't necessarily think that there's a ton that you're not catching. So with the Magician, the message is that there is, you have everything that you need. So this person has the world in their hands in this card. In some versions of this card, you'll see someone there with all of the different suits. So you'll see someone there with, they've got a cup and a sword. The Magician has a cup and a sword and a pentacle and a wand, and they've got all of the things that they require. This person, they just summarize by saying they got the world in their hands. But focus on the integrity, doing things for the reasons that you will support later. And because you're going to be ultimately the person that has to live with some of these decisions, and in some cases very deeply, like you'll emotionally have to live with these decisions. So consider them carefully as you're moving forward. You may have something like that moving your direction. That's not always fun, but it's a lot less fun if you make a decision rashly and ends up being something that you regret. There's definitely a tendency, though, to want you to move forward on a goal, like I said, a little bit every day. That's not necessarily one big jump. That is seeing, when you back up, you'll notice a huge trajectory of movement in the direction of success because you took these little steps every day. Knight of Swords in the reverse. There may be a desire to turn tail and run, even if that's not something you typically do. And sometimes, though, you may not do it, but you may feel tempted to do it. This may be one of those times. We had some cards fall, and one of them fell face up. Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups in the reverse. And the Eight of Cups in the reverse is a matter of, you have... So a few of you, definitely a contingent of you has just accomplished something or gotten over a hump, has accomplished something, has done something that took a lot of work, and now you're like, okay, now what? This is that card of time to reorient yourself. You have now accomplished something or turned a corner or made some sort of change that enables you to have to kind of recalculate, rethink some things. How's it actually supposed to go? Again, like I made that reference, I think it was yesterday, to a GPS recalculating. It's kind of like that. Except it's like you drop down in a new place and now you have to completely recalculate. It's a good thing. It's just reminding you to do it. Now you have the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse that says you need to embrace some changes that are happening in your life right now. You'll know them by their inevitability. So it's not necessarily something that you can change. But again, it's just like those existential things we were talking about yesterday. It's about finding a new way to approach them emotionally and to think about them. So if you're worried about the passage of time, and we'll just use that one as an example, then it's about getting good with, or getting okay with, the passage of time. And it's, there are many different ways to approach this emotionally. One of those ways is around being in the moment, which sounds like a simple, small thing, but turns out to be a much larger thing than when you back out and think about it, or back up and think about it. So we got the Nine of Swords here in the reverse. It's what I'm being told here is not to look a gift horse in the mouth. Interesting. Yeah, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. With the Ten of Swords, it is a matter of having to deal with something that happened before, but I don't get the sense that you're going to feel all the pain from it. The thing about not looking a gift horse in the mouth is very much related to this. So let me go ahead and clarify, especially for my folks who are not English speaking or not first language of English, or otherwise don't know what not looking a gift horse in the mouth is about. So it's an idiom that we use to mean when you're given a gift, not to start, when you bought a horse, when you buy a horse, one of the things that you do is you check out its teeth, you look in its mouth. It's part of its overall examination of health and just kind of checking it out. And so this was a reference to receiving a horse as a gift, that you don't then start going through it and making sure that it's good enough, like it's a gift, and in this case, the gift is that moment of non-anxiety. So when you get to this situation where the Ten of Swords, that painful thing that wants to arise for you, when that happens and you get to the place where it wants to arise and it doesn't, Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Be okay with it. Just take the gift. And in this case, the gift is not heavy anxiety, and just roll with it. It's going to be beneficial for you. It is also part of that being in the moment answer, and part of not freaking out about whatever changes are happening to your lifestyle. Because it's it's Ten of Pentacles in the reverse, and sometimes that's scary changes. When it comes out like this, sometimes it's bad things happening that you're really just not satisfied with, and you have to figure out how to reframe them. Sometimes it's like you're moving into a new house and it's just really, just it creates a lot of energy and a lot of change for you. So regardless of where it hits you, your best bet is to take that breath, and when you have those moments where you're not feeling the anxiety, kind of roll with that, run with it. Ace of Pentacles says there's a tendency in you to not want to walk through a door, not want to commit to something right now. I would tell you, take a closer look to make sure if it actually requires a commitment or just seems like it does. Knight of Cups here tells you not to reach out to somebody. Okay, if you've got an email, and it may not be to your person, so I don't want to be I don't want to be specific about that, but if you've got something where you're thinking about sending a note and you can't decide, your conscience is yelling at you not to do something, or your intuition is saying give it a moment, give it that moment. There's going to be an important reason. This is a recommendation to kind of gravitate toward that happiness, and that happiness, what's special about this, like, you always want to gravitate toward your happiness, but what's special about this is that with your integrity and with the Magician card there, and even to some degree with that Chariot card, you're going to be in a better position to float that direction or to take steps in that direction. But with the Nine of Swords in the reverse here, in these moments of, this really does feel like moments of just kind of the anxiety and the tension goes down. The more you allow that to just kind of happen and allow yourself to move with it, the more you're going to notice it happening as well. So times where you might otherwise have felt anxiety, but for maybe other reasons, it just never pops up. Five of Wands is about a struggle, and it's about having to engage a struggle, but it is not necessarily about like it's not necessarily an ideological struggle. It could be something that you jump into as a resource struggle, and there's no real foe. There's no real person who functions as an enemy, or force that functions as an enemy, other than, like, I don't know, gravity. It's something that doesn't seem like it has a strong opinion about things that you're working against. But it does create a bit of a struggle, and so this is going to be about making more efficient decisions. So, as you will sometimes hear it, working smarter and not harder. With this King of Swords here, you're going to be able to do it. Like, that is basically the answer to this. It's like, okay, so if I want to work smarter and not harder, how do I make that happen? The King of Swords is the ability to do that. So just watch for it. When it seems like you're coming up with a shortcut, check to see, because there may not actually be anything wrong with it. It might just be a shorter path. Here with the Six of Cups, just to remember it lets you know you don't necessarily want to do things always the same way that you have always done them. So just a reminder of that. So I think with that, we are going to go ahead and go over to the extended. Again, I want to dig in on what's happening with this Three of Cups, with the third party energy, with the feeling of that, the feelings that that person has that are surrounding that third party. We're also going to look at their feelings around you. So the link will be down there for that. If you want to go there. Otherwise, I would just say thank you so much for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you either in that extended reading, or I'll see you again tomorrow.